On this week's episode, we review Panhandle Airsoft in Panama City, Florida. Panhandle Airsoft is located at 791 Airport Road in Panama City, Florida, in a pretty nondescript little warehouse off to the side of the road, so make sure that you use your GPS to find it. It is a little difficult. There isn't a big sign out front that says Airsoft here, so you're going to have to look for it or actually have a good GPS on your phone. When you first walk through the door, you're going to enter through the pro shop, which you see us zooming in here, and then you're going to come into a very comfortable staging area. As you can see for the staging area photo here, you've got TV, you've got Xbox, and you've also got a lot of comfortable chairs, which you see your players lounging in over here. Back in the back is the armory, and this is where we are right now. And this is where you're going to start your games, receive your rental gear, and chrono, and receive your game briefs. Now, this is the only indoor field in the area local to me. And it's actually a really unique indoor field because a lot of the indoor fields that people play at are set up like small towns or small cities and so on and so forth. And we've all seen some of the bigger ones like GamePod in Antioch, California, SS out in Georgia somewheres, and then you've got Power Ops in Atlanta, which we'll be visiting eventually. But what I find unique to Panhandle Airsoft is the fact that because of its smaller size, it's set up like a kill house. So the games in here are very fast, they're very close, they're different than anything you've ever done. Now, for some of your video game enthusiasts out there, I know that you guys liken Airsoft to either Battlefield or COD or whatever, but this has more of a Rainbow Six feel to it, just simply because you're hitting a lot of different rooms. You're not going building to building, you're actually clearing the house. Now, there's several different rooms here. They have one that's kind of dark to start out with. They have some barricades in the room. Some are a little bit lighter. You have one that's got a black light in it, which is kind of cool. And then you've got the garage, which has several small structures in it. And there's also an upstairs to this place. So it's a really neat idea, or it's a really neat layout the way they did this. And the parent company for Panhandle Airsoft is LTS Tactical. They're a tactical training company. I believe they work with law enforcement. They work with the military. They offer home defense courses. There's a lot of different things that are going on with this field. It's not just a field. Which is also very similar to my friend Craig's field out in California. You guys know it as GamePod. They just had the siege of Antioch out there. But I digress. Anyway, as you can see here, you've got a long hallway. You've got rooms off to your left and right. And it offers a very unique style of play. Now, as far as crowds go, you have a younger crowd here. So for us older guys that are kind of like, I don't know if I want to play with kids, it's going to take a little bit of patience. But the kids here that do play are a lot of fun. This is probably one of the more hidden gems in Airsoft. I never thought I'd enjoy a field like this. I had been here one time before, and I was not overly excited to come back, to be honest with you guys. But they've really changed the field up. This room that we're looking at here, this one with all the black lights, is brand new. They didn't have it last time I was here, and they also added a lot of barricades and different things. So what that gives you is a very unique field with a very different feel than pretty much anywhere I've ever played Airsoft in the past. I really did enjoy this field. Now, I'm coming up on this little doorway here, and this leads to the garage. And that garage is, like I had mentioned earlier, has quite a few different obstacles in it, and makes for an interesting style of play also. There's a player just on the other side of that wall who was, honestly, props to him, was very difficult to get, and he had a very good reaction time. Anyway, this entire field, it's kind of a more relaxed environment too. It's not as structured as, say, some of the big games that you go to or the bigger name fields that you would go to or attend. I mentioned a few earlier on in the video. But it is a nice, relaxed feel. It's a very friendly place to play. It's a very comfortable place to play, and I highly recommend it. I would like to see some older players there. And honestly, being Florida, we've got like a couple seasons. We've got hot, hotter, hottest, hurricane, and so this is a great place to get out of the heat, get out of the rain, and on those very rare days that it's cold, it's a good place to get out from there too. And that they host several events. I believe they're open every weekend, every Saturday night between 6 and 11 p.m. They do host some lock-ins for the younger kids. I don't think too many of the adults will be interested in that, but I don't know, if we got a bunch of adults together, it could be cool. Now, as far as big events go, and I know a lot of players are attracted to the big game, I don't really see this place hosting big games just simply due to the size of it. I don't think, personally, that this field would be comfortable with more than 10 on 10 on the field at any given time. However, if they rotated people through in different groups or whatever, they probably host a larger crowd. Over the night I was there, I think there's only like maybe 10 to 15 of us tops. So there's ways to do it. I have some ideas on what I would do for an event at the field. I've already designed one. I'll probably approach them sometime, but that is another issue for another day. Overall, though, guys, I highly recommend this field. Now, the only cons that I can see to it, and there's always cons in any unbiased review, is again, the size is both a blessing and a curse. At the same time, the younger crowd is not so much for me personally, but I do take my son there, and he had a good time. I would, again, like to see older players go, and I think an older group would probably enjoy it just as much as the younger ones. I do recommend that you guys have hard knuckle gloves. I wore half gloves. My knuckles came back chewed up just simply because of the range. Also, I'm not sure as to whether or not they require full face masks, but honestly, you're foolish if you don't wear one on this field. That's just coming from somebody that's lost his tooth playing the game of airsoft on an open field. This one, I guarantee you're going to come out looking like a hockey player. It just is what it is. It's very close range. Now, if you're looking here, this is kind of one of the unique factors of the garage, too. I had mentioned earlier there's an upstairs. There's actually shooting ports that shoot down into the garage. So really, in this one, you do have to kind of look up and down. It's not so much a linear field. Again, another huge benefit to this field. And right now, I'm approaching one of the stairways in here, and that stairway comes up for some really intense firefights. This field also, too, I'd recommend tracers. As you can see, it's pretty low light. It'll help you judge where your BBs are going. It'll help you judge where your hits are landing. I would really suggest picking those up. One other thing I would like to see on this field, though, too, is that getting a ref to run with some of the fire teams. It's very tight in there, and that is one of the reasons I would assume that they don't have a referee on the field with the players, other than for like safety hiding in the back. They do have a blind man rule, by the way, if somebody loses their goggles. But I would like to see a ref out there on the field, if only to alleviate questionable hits. This stairwell in particular kind of gets tricky. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's a he said, she said, adrenaline's pumping, things happen, and again, sometimes you're dealing with a lower maturity level in airsoft when you're dealing with younger kids, and let's be honest, sometimes with adults, and so things don't get called, or things are misconstrued, or there's rules that you're not certain on, like gun hits, or are these ricochets or not. Big time in here, especially with ricochets, because ricochets don't count. And I know that personally, I had seen a few other players who took ricochets took direct hits. I thought they were ricochets and kept on playing, which can get frustrating for some people. Now, the one thing I do like about this field also, another thing I guess I should say that I like about this field, is that they do offer Nerf for your younger players. So, you know, if you've got kids that are not ready for airsoft, but they want to have a good time and something like this, they do host Nerf parties, and you can check that out on their Facebook page for those dates. They also, again, do offer training classes for adults for live steel firearms. That's another real good plus. And then, of course, airsoft games. Also, this is kind of a neat thing that the owners do, and they have their home team, FAT, which is PHAT, the Panhandle Airsoft team, and they do travel the area quite a bit. And that's really neat because they're getting out there. They're not only promoting their field, but they're promoting the sport and hobby. I think that's a really great thing as well. Guys, also check out their Facebook page before you go. There's the link right there in the or on their picture here, and I'll have a link posted below in the description. So guys, this is Dave with Blue Line Battle Sports, and I hope to see you out at the field. And also, don't forget, we have Spectre Recon coming up at Brothers in Arms Airsoft on the 15th of September. And that is going to be something that it's going to be a format we used to run in California when we had our airsoft field, and it's a tactical simulation game. We're going to have hour-long missions. It's all storyline. One mission is going to affect the other. So guys, if you get a chance, check that out, and you can check out our event link for that on Blue Line Battle Sports. Till then, take care, and I hope to see you out on the field.